Welcome back to my channel. My name is Dylan Jarris, and I am an Etsy shop owner of 6 years. I've done almost $1.3 million in revenue on Etsy. I do $300,000 to $400,000 a year, $30,000 to $40,000 a month, and this is consistent year after year income. This isn't like I had one good year and now I'm some like Etsy guru or something. And so now I teach other people how to do this for themselves. I let you use my trial and error to teach you the exact steps that actually work. So I'm on Instagram at Dylan Jarris, and this week I put out a little question box asking for any questions, and today I'm going to do a Q&A. Depending on how many we get through, I might break this up into a part 1 and part 2, but we're going to cover everything from what is the actual profit in my business to how much is my program, my course, my training, and more. So stick around, do not miss anything. I'm literally going to bring up every single question that I've been asked. So let's jump into it. So the first question is, how do you find reputable wholesalers for supplies? So my answer here is that the first place I would look is not the internet. The first place I would look is Yelp. Okay, I kind of show you how to do this in my program, but I would look locally first because that's a competitive advantage, right? It's a lot easier to work with wholesalers where you don't have to meet minimums. When you can shop locally and don't have to pay for shipping, it's a lot easier to test a wide variety of products, right? A wide assortment, not a deep assortment. It's a lot easier to build a business this way if you're interested in going the supply route. So I start local and then I move online, and that is all about the strategy for pulling levers to improve your profitability. The next question: how much time do you spend each day making product? Oh man. So this really varies. I have childcare from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. So I really try to limit. So I batch my work so that it's much more efficient. I am probably twice as efficient because I batch my work as when I used to do one order start to finish. But within those hours, I'm also doing a lot of other things. So from 8 to 3, those are the hours that I can produce my things, but I'm really only utilizing probably half the time for that part of my business. And as you start to, hire an assistant, do your first hire, then you start to get more and more of those daytime hours back. So on average, I would say 4.5 to 5 hours a day. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. Now someone said, why is it so hard to sell on Etsy? So I don't know if you're gonna like my answer here, but I would say it's hard to sell on Etsy because you're going into it thinking it's gonna be easier than it actually is. So people who underestimate how competitive it is or the effort that it's going to take, they end up oftentimes thinking, oh, this is so hard. But if you go into it thinking, I'm going into a battle, I am going into, I'm going to climb a mountain, and you're prepared to climb a big mountain, you might think, oh, this isn't quite as bad as I actually thought it was going to be. If you underestimate the work that it takes, and if you underestimate the strategy that it takes, and if you're not willing to learn from other people's mistakes and you're trying to do all the trial and error yourself, it's going to be a lot harder. Don't try to come up with everything yourself. Otherwise, it's going to take you a long time. It's also really hard because people are following trends. Everyone sees these videos about Etsy trends, top 10 trends to sell on Etsy in 2022. Okay, well, surprise, surprise, these become saturated and it's very competitive, and then you're compelled to compete on price. It's also really hard because you start to go head to head with competition, and that is never the way to go. You never want your product offering on Etsy to be the exact same as someone else's. And if you're not willing to look outside of what you have in front of you and differentiate in ways other than price, then it's really hard. So I never recommend going head to head with another competitor, and oftentimes, that's why people are finding it really hard. Okay, this one is nice. Who is your greatest hero? So this one is actually my husband. My husband is insane and incredible, insane in a good way. He is the hardest working man I know. He is in the United States military, in the Navy, and he was on a submarine, and he's still in the Navy. But on the submarine, he would literally work over 12-hour days. Then he would come home, right? He'd come home exhausted. He got up at 4, got home at 7, and he'd come home and he would help me. He would help me with the business. He would help me with the kids. He would help me in any way that I needed. He never complained. He got much less sleep than even I did. And he would do anything for his family. He would do anything for me. And it's made me sad. Yeah. He would just do anything for me. And I think he is the whole reason that I've done this business. He's been my cheerleader, my encourager from day one. I have emails from him when I got, like my first 50 sales, and he is just pumping me up. And that's what we do. We are a rock solid team. And he never doubts my abilities. He really has so much confidence in me when I don't have it in myself. He's the one who really pushed me to do what I'm doing now, teaching other people how to accomplish and achieve what I've achieved. So he's my hero because he's the most selfless person I know. He's the hardest working person I know. He loves God. He loves his family. I can count on him. Always. What is the best book you've ever read regarding your Etsy business? So this one, it's funny, I don't actually read books anymore. They're all audiobooks, right? So Audible is kind of where I do a lot of my reading. But in terms of books that have helped my Etsy business, let's see, there are two. Number one is Relentless. It's by Tim Grover. This really lit a fire under me when my husband was deployed. So when my husband was deployed, I was going from $245,000 a year to $360,000 a year in revenue by myself. And this book was something that I listened to that really gave me the stamina to keep going. It fueled me. It really reassured me that I was on the right path and that if I just kept going, I was going to be incredibly successful. Failure is not an option. Put your head down, keep going. Most people aren't willing to do that. Most people do not have the endurance to keep going when things are hard. It's all about being unstoppable. After reading that book, I really felt like it resonated with me. I really felt like, yes, I am unstoppable. Anything I want to do, I can do it. It's really a choice. Your success is your choice. It's your choice with how much effort you're willing to put in, how hard you're willing to work, how much time you're willing to spend on it. And it's a choice that you can make for yourself. Everyone makes the choice of if they want to be successful. The second book I really like is called The Dip. And this is all about how right before companies get really big, right before they have a huge increase, they take off, they lift off the ground. A lot of times they'll be puttering along, right? Pushing. It's like pushing a rock up a hill. Like they're pushing, not getting a lot of traction. Maybe they even take a dip, right? And when those companies take a dip, that's when a lot of them quit. A lot of them give up. They throw in the towel, they start something new. But if you keep pushing past the dip, that's when the successful companies, they break out from the pack because everyone else has given up. They thought, oh, this isn't working, but they just gave up too soon. They just needed to push 1 more week, 2 more weeks, 2 more months. They just needed to keep going. They gave up too soon, and this cost them perhaps a lifetime of success. With Etsy, if you give up too soon, if you give up in the dip, if you pivot too quickly, if you throw in the towel, if you step back, you never know if you might have just been 1 month away from when things take off, from when you get traction, from when you become a market leader. It might just be 1 month away from having a customer ask you to make something that you then make $100,000 off of. That's happened to me time after time. So The Dip is a really great book for Etsy sellers specifically. Okay, this person says, why can't I get any traffic 9 months into opening my Etsy store besides the basic things like pictures, SEO, ads, new listing, etc.? I've done everything I can think of. Why can't I get any traffic? Okay, pictures, they're not going to help you get traffic. SEO, okay, I would like to look at the SEO to see if there's opportunity. Where did you actually put in the SEO? Are there places that you missed? Because there are quite a few places on your listing that you need to have SEO. Ads, I'm not going to talk about Etsy ads, but Etsy ads I would never, ever focus time or money on Etsy ads to get traffic. There are other places that you should be spending your time to build traffic that will have a much higher return on your investment. Remember, to get traffic, it's either going to cost you time or it's going to cost you money. When you spend money on ads to get traffic, as soon as you turn off those ads, you're not getting traffic anymore. So you have to keep pumping that up with money, right? You have to keep paying for traffic. If you're willing to put in time to get traffic, it doesn't need to take money, just your time, you're going to end up getting traffic to your shop that builds like a snowball. And this is exactly my strategy. What I've done, I use Pinterest, Instagram, and Facebook, those 3 things. And what I went hard for a year, 18 months, I don't have to touch those things anymore for my business. And I am still getting a ton of traffic from those things. So I don't have to even touch those strategies anymore. I don't even have to put that time in anymore. And the time I put in up front, I'm now getting between 60 and 120,000 views, people, warm leads to my shop per year by not doing any work, because I did the work up front. So Pinterest, Facebook, and Instagram. Why can't you get any traffic? I would do my Pinterest strategy, closely followed by my Facebook strategy, and then Instagram would be the third strategy that I would implement. I would really focus on one at a time, so you're not diluting your efforts, but really it only takes like 10 to 20 minutes per day. If you're not doing those 3 things, then I wouldn't really expect you to be getting a whole lot of traffic. What is your greatest piece of advice if you had to choose one? Oh my gosh. Well, this is really hard. It would be that you can get through hard things, that, I'm Christian, right? So that's a huge part of everything that I do, everything, the way that I think, the way I run my business, the way I live my life. But I really believe that God will not give you anything that you can't handle. There have been times in my life where I look back and I just am shocked with how I was able to get through it. Whether it was things with my dad's addiction, right? Almost losing him. Whether it was, my sister's accident. You can see the video about my life story. And there's so many times, I look back at those times and I think, how did I get through that? But during those times, I reminded myself, these are my circumstances. These circumstances are not going to kill me. God will not give me anything that I cannot handle, and I'm not ever alone. I'm really not ever alone. Whether you are unhappy with like where your life is at right now, maybe you hate your job, maybe you wish you could make Etsy full time, maybe you just want something for yourself. You really want to build something, but you feel stuck and you don't know where to get started. And maybe you just feel trapped, like backed into a corner, like I can't afford to start Etsy, but I can't afford not to, right? That type of situation. Every circumstance is temporary. Time is going to continue to pass, right? You are stronger than you think. You might just be in one of those seasons right now where you're going to look back and think, how did I get through that? That was crazy. But you're going to be so proud that you didn't give up. You're going to be so proud that you pushed harder, that you didn't stop, you didn't back down, that you just kept going forward. Just keep moving forward. The other piece of advice that I really like is that don't think, just do. Do not overthink things. Do not overthink what you're doing. Do not overthink what you're going to try, what you might want to implement. Do not overthink what the next right step is. Just do. You're going to see changes, positive changes in your life much faster if you just start doing, right? Not thinking too much, just doing. Fail fast. You're going to learn quickly. You're going to learn by doing, right? We don't want to just learn and then do what we learned. We want to learn by doing. And going through life that way, you're going to grow a lot faster. You're going to build your wealth a lot faster, to be honest. Your life is going to be transformed towards the direction that you want to be going so much faster. If you don't think, just do. Just keep taking actions. Wanting something to change, but then having that kind of inaction is something that really holds people back. And then they look back at their life and they're unhappy with how the last year has been, or the last 3 years, or the last 5 years. And they're like, why did it have to go this way? I wish I could have done things differently. Well, now is your chance. Every day, action, action, action. Focus more on action than you do on thinking. That's like my second advice. That took a little bit long. Did your first store blow up, or was it a slow and steady climb? It was really a slow and steady climb. I didn't get my first sale on Etsy until I was 2 months in. So it took me 2 months to get one sale. And then at that point, it became a slow and steady climb. By month 4, I was doing $10,000 a month in revenue. but it was very slow and steady. It wasn't like I jumped to 10 grand overnight. The rate of growth was pretty much the same. Year 1 to year 2, I went from $134,000 a year to $143,000 a year. And then going from 143 to 245 the next year, that was a bigger jump, but I also had childcare for the first time. And then going from 245 to 360, that was a big jump as well, but it was steady month over month growth. It was not all of a sudden something went viral. But yes, that was my first shop. I did open a second shop, and what I found was that I diluted my efforts, and that second shop didn't succeed. So I combined it into my first shop, and that was really the way to go. If you want to know more about my recommendation for just keeping one shop versus having a bunch of smaller shops, let me know. Okay, how much is your coaching program? Okay. This is a good one. So first of all, I have to say the price will be changing as the demand for this grows. So for example, out of the last 15 people that I've had calls with to discuss what they want to do on Etsy, maybe their current Etsy shop, or if they don't have one, what their vision is for Etsy, and then I discuss my program with them. Out of the last 15 calls that I've had with prospective students, 14 people of those 15 have signed up for my course. Based on this, yes, pricing is going to be changing. So I do have to say, like, if you want in, get in. If you want to get on the rocket ship, get on the rocket ship now. As with anything, this is basic economics, supply and demand, right? So the price is going to be going up as the demand continues to increase. The best way to have an idea of what my entry-level price is at the time that you're interested, go to schedule a call with me. And on the form, honestly, on the form where you are scheduling a call, I say when you schedule a call, this call is for Etsy sellers that are serious about growing their business. If we're a good fit, are you prepared to make an investment of at least blank to make that happen? There you go. That's the minimum investment of the program. I do put that out there because I don't want to waste your time if you're not really serious about doing something. What I will say is, yes, there's a lot of programs out there that are, $189, $200, $500. The results that you're going to get from that investment, the return on your investment is proportionate to the investment you're making. I'm not someone who's done $100,000 on Etsy. I'm not someone who's done, even $200,000 on Etsy. Like, I'm someone who does 30 to 40 grand a month, and I'm teaching the strategies to do that for yourself. This is not Etsy 101. This is really designed for people who are really, really serious, who need to make it happen and who want to make it happen now, and who are willing to put in the work, who are very driven and motivated. That's the type of student that I work with. My program's not really meant for people who are just wanting to dabble or kind of just do it for, a couple $100s a month. The idea with the investment of the program is that you want to earn that back, right? Like, you want to earn that investment back as quickly as possible. The demand is shooting up quite significantly, and I want to make sure that I can dedicate and give the full support to all of my students that I'm working with. If you're interested, get on the rocket ship now. I wouldn't wait 2 months because I don't know what the demand is going to be like at that time. That's what I would say about that. Okay, this question. Title versus SEO versus tags. Newbie here and so overwhelmed and confused. Okay, so SEO, search engine optimization. This is all about long tail keywords, right? In your title, your tags, your description, and your sections. Also, your photo alt text on your images. So a lot of people don't realize that matters too. So titles, SEO, and tags. So the point here is you have to implement an SEO strategy that actually works. Not all the SEO strategies that are on the internet work. There are some that are better than others. The one that I implement consistently in my shop to get to that, $300,000 to $400,000 a year level, that's what I teach. I teach that SEO that worked to get me there. Yes, titles, tags, descriptions, section titles, photo alt text. Those are all places where you implement SEO. Okay, based on the amount of questions we have left, I need to make a second video for these Q&As. And in the next video, I know someone asked, what is your profit off of your revenue? So I'm going to be answering that in the next video. And you want to be notified when the next one is posted. Part 2, please subscribe. Please feel free, always send me questions on Instagram at Dylan Jarris. Feel free to email me, team@dylanjarris.com. And I'll see you in the next one.